Hey, yo, what's up? Welcome back to World Championship to the Ages Stage 5, Game 2. The first game I managed to win quite easily, as you have seen. My opponents, very bad players, so it is going to be an easy ride into the next stage, obviously. So I'm in the first position here, Nickelberg in the second, Yaba in the third, Bright Future in the fourth position. And let's take a look at the leaders and wonders. We have a Suez Canal. That's somehow the first thing I always look at, and there are quite some synergies with that. So there's Cook, there's Sun Tzu, and all the red cube leaders are a little better. Illinois is very good with Suez. Columbus possibly. We have some culture leader in H2. That's Shakespeare, Darwin, Gaudi, and Cook also. And not that many aggressive leaders in H2. And there's a Gandhi, so can be somewhat greedy in this game, I guess. And there's no Hollywood, button internet. There's the Red Cross. I never like when it's in the game. I don't like the wonder somehow. Don't like the design. Yeah. Apart from that, let's just go with the game. I don't see anything very special apart from what I mentioned. I guess there's maybe to be mentioned. There's Kubata. It's always a difference. And there's Gates, it's always a difference. There's actually two good lab leaders that makes a difference, I guess, in approaching the late game. Yeah, that's that. Let's go with the game. My choice is take one of the leaders or pyramids. I like the pyramids. I don't see another wonder here. And there will be good options with leaders. There might be Homer, Hippocrates, Moses, maybe even Caesar. Yeah. The other option would have probably been Sun Tzu and aim to have a good setup for the colony game. But I think in 4 players, it's not that easy to, how should I put it, to force your way to be in a very good spot to take the Suez, since you cannot guarantee to get every colony until then, and you cannot guarantee that you are in a good spot to take it, and just revolving your entire game plan around it is just not feasible, I think, in 4 players. Whereas it actually is in 1-on-1, because there you can force a lot of things regarding the colonies, and that's just another situation there. Well, I think I like the pyramids here. Nickelback goes for Cleopatra and Urban Grove. Nothing wild here. Yaba goes for Hippocrates for 3. Yeah, I guess he could also consider Sun Tzu, consider Caesar. Maybe Hippocrates is still a little more solid. It's okay. I like the leader. And here we do see Sun Tzu into the Colosseum for 3. Yeah, that's a good combination also. I do go for Caesar. I think my reason for that is actually what I just mentioned regarding the Suez Canal. There's a Columbus in the game. That might be interesting, and I think it's just not worth it to pay one more civil action for one of those leaders who aren't. I don't think they are a lot better in that situation. I do think Caesar is on general pretty weak, but with some RNG and in the first position, I think it can be okay. So I'll gladly take it over one of those, Moses or Homer. I elect him, build the mine, and populate. and I hope to draw some good cards. Sadly only one, but it's a territory and a tactic that I might go for at some point. It's a horse tactic, so there's Genghis Khan, which I think is quite weak, but it's an option at least. And yeah, just going for a heavy calf can be a good thing in quite some games. But yeah, sadly no 2 green cards. That's always a big difference in my opinion. Being able to seed 2 times, it's not just having the next set of cards approach faster, but it just gives value in this turn. In many cases where you can have better turns by revealing the HA events. Nickelback goes for Cleopatra, goes for library. That's a very good combination, and it is quite expensive to take it for 2 here, but let's see. I do have a wonder. He does have a wonder. He would probably get one of those if he just waited, I think. And maybe one of those would probably be Stonehenge for 1 less civil action. Like this, he builds the lab. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't populate into 2 possible events by me. Missing out on religion or warrior. It feels bad, but it's not the end of the world. And definitely a turn that you can do. You can just think about doing the standard turn, I guess, where you don't take this, populate. Yeah, but what's your last one? Take Urban Growth, Frugality. Yeah, probably this is good. Probably this is correct. Yaba elects his leader, Hippocrates. He goes for the mine, populates, and takes the Urban Growth A. That's always a mix-up between populating and taking a yellow card for 1 rock at this stage of the game, or taking a card from 2. And I think the Engineering Genius is not worth it. So I do prefer populating and taking one of those cards. But it has to be like Urban Growth, Richland, or Frugality, because the other ones are, yeah, Cultural Heritage has some border use cases. But if there's an H1 card already here, a good one, like Iron, maybe even a military attack, yeah, then maybe not populating might be better. But in this case, I would also do it like this. We see Bright Future going for the mine, elect Sun Tzu, and do the other thing, go for Engineering Genius. But now, yeah, I mean, there was a rich land, and at some point he will use it, so yeah, I think I prefer what Java did. But I mean, it's close. It's not like it's super bad or something, and the difference only kicks in if he loses the gamble of missing out on free religion or free warrior. Although I don't even know if the free warrior is such a big deal. In some cases it's even bad to take it. So the free religion but actually is kind of a big deal. And let's see if he gets punished for that. I see it. The development of markets is revealed. I do take irrigation for 2 here. Yeah, maybe debatable. I said something about that in my last video, that irrigation is not that important in 4-player. I do spend 2 civil actions here for that, and maybe I can think of something else. Maybe Swordsman, Bread and Circus. I don't really like to take for 2 civil actions, but maybe I'm wrong with that, especially with Kubaton in the game. and it being way more likely to be punished to miss out on happy faces during event evaluation of H1, especially with the rebellion that can actually just destroy your game. So yeah, I'm not really convinced about my pick here, irrigation. I think actually this realization that irrigation is not so important, you probably don't want to pick it for 2 civil actions in a 4-player game, came later. Yeah. But that being said, I mean, the other options, they are not that much better, I think. And I don't want to take iron for 3. I want to be prepared for free religion, since there's a Jeanne d'Arc in the game, Joan of Arc. And yeah, I hope to draw 2 green cards, and I don't draw 2 green cards. I do draw 1 at least, and an open borders agreement. The open borders, let's see if I want to use it. With Caesar, maybe I don't, because it's just better for the other person, probably. So we will see. Nickelberg goes for populating 2 times. He took food, actually. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, needs to be aware of corrupting. Cleopatra has the problem of corrupting sometimes, and he just mitigates the risk, lowers the risk by populating 1 more time, and then you can use the first stage of the library, and yeah, that's a clean turn. Probably taking iron for 2 was not such an option here, but I do agree that the things he did had priority, and it would be a little painful to go out of the way to take the iron for 2, I guess. There's a lot of good cards coming anyway, so he will get a good project running. If it's this, it might be the second iron. It might be an alchemy, which he would like to go for with Cleo, I guess. It might be knights, and in the worst case, it's irrigation. I don't think all the other cards are gone until his turn. So it looks good. Naval trade agreement offered to me, and I thought about it. And actually, I wanted to go for it because with Caesar, I am flexible of if I try out a turn, so I can even seed and reveal something that would corrupt me, and then still cancel the pact in order to avoid corruption, possibly. And I already have territory in, and it might be within a reasonable time that is revealed. And with all the setup I thought about at the beginning with the Suez Canal, Cook, and so on, I thought it might be reasonable. I think it's overall, it's also very good for him. He has other options with his turns now. The 2 blue tokens are worth, they are worth quite something. You just have other options for turns all of a sudden. But yeah, overall, I think I'm happy to agree this pact in this situation. Interestingly, I think there's not that many use cases where someone wants to accept this pact. Java goes for iron for 2 civil actions and takes the Stonehenge. That probably means he can start the iron next turn, and we will see if he goes for the philosophy or start building a wonder. Both is actually an option, I think, and he starts building the wonder. Yeah. I never know what's better here. In one-on-one, a benefit of not building the philosophy is that you can still go for a printing press, but I already discussed printing presses might not be that good in 4-player games, and I don't know. I mean, you want to get rid of this wonder, quotation marks, get rid, I mean, finish it. But yeah, I'm not certain. Probably this is correct, but I'm not very certain. So we see Bright Future seeding, and he did not get punished actually for the lack of population. He populates and interestingly builds the Wonder before the Philosophy, just to keep more cards in hand. In the end, I guess. Maybe the other thing would not fix corruption. I don't know. Like this, he doesn't enter, what is it, this upkeep thing, and has some more food, but he misses out on the science. I don't know if I'm that huge of a fan of skipping the science income, but it doesn't look horrible or something, so maybe that's game style thing. Yeah, can definitely do that. I don't like skipping the philosophy so much. So now there is development of religion. We can quickly and yeah, let's discuss this first. We can I do offer the open borders agreement to Yaba, and yeah, maybe that's debatable. I'm not that certain, but it felt bad to do nothing. Let's just say it like this. It felt bad not to use the political action, and I went for it. And it might just be better for Yaba, or it actually is better for Yaba. But I thought I still have an advantage over the other two. And actually, at this point, maybe some tournament meta kicks in where I'm at winning position after the first game, and I'm like, I just need not to lose. If I end second in this 4-player game, I'm in a very good spot. So that might be a little why I did this also. Let's see. Everybody got the religion correct, so everybody got it. I go for the pyramids and take the iron and probably the rich land. No, swordsman. Wow. Ah, yeah, I remember. I contemplated. I had the voice of my ally that I played Blitz with in my head, and he would. This voice was telling me, "Take the rich land. Take the rich land." So that's metaphorically speaking. Obviously, I play these games alone, but I thought it might be a little greedy, maybe, to take the rich land. And no military tech. I don't know. Looking back, it's a close decision. Maybe I should just go for being greedy a little in this scenario, because the rich land really fits in very well. It's a high value card if you have iron and irrigation on hand. And the swordsman, the value is a little unclear, let's say. And it's not like every other military tech's already gone. It's the first swordsman that I just took. There are 1 knights showing, and yeah, I do have pyramids, so I have good access to technologies that are also on 2 or even on 3 in some borderline cases. I think in hindsight, I would say take the rich land. It's probably this tournament meta thing again, where I think I just need not to lose. But maybe that's not a good approach. I'm not certain. Yeah, let me know what you think between these two. But looking at this now, and also my first intuition was like, yeah, take the rich land. It's right here. And I again don't draw 2 green cards, or yeah, by now it's actually quite sad. I do draw defense cards, and now the pact kicks in quite nicely because I can keep all of those. So yeah, that's not bad, but I would just prefer to be able to push 2 times. Probably. And we see Nickelback going for the alchemy. As we discussed, something good just dropped for him, and it's the alchemy. It's probably the best card that could stay with him or for him in the row. He probably finishes the library, yes, and takes knights. That looks good. And Yaba goes for the iron. He didn't even need to go for a stage since science has been revealed, I assume. Has it? Let's see. There's trade routes, but was that enough? Apparently it was. I thought he finished on 3. Apparently it was. So he goes for the iron. Upgrades 2 times, populates. Very solid move. Might consider monarchy. But that would mean not going for the iron now. That would mean like finishing the wonder, going for monarchy, and it's a good timing for the monarchy, but I also like this. And H2 governments are just very good in 4-player games, so looks great. Early iron is super good. And Bright Fuchsia does seed, opens the development of settlement, takes the free religion, builds celeb, increase population again, irrigation, and warfare. Not certain about the warfare yeah, not certain. Some arguments against it. He already has the 3rd red cube. I think for me, the warfare, the biggest benefit is being the 3rd red cube and being possible to play, making it possible to play the Republic. And like this, well, it would be the 4th red cube, and I don't know how valuable that is, but well, I might prefer, if I was him, I think I would have preferred playing drama here, taking drama here. There are some benefits for drama. There's Shakespeare. And I think drama is overall still just a solid card. Where if you can sneak it in at a reasonable time, it can do some good work. Yeah. But that's the choice. I mean, let's see how it turns out. We have the fighting band revealed. Now I'm a little happy to have the swordsman in hand. Development of politics revealed, and that helps me to double seed actually in this turn. I do draw some other colonization cards, so I do gladly go for the pestilence. And yeah, I didn't pay too much attention, but I think there was only one strength event, the foray, and all the others were little like random events like pestilence and cultural influence or something like that. I think that's actually pretty nice. If you don't have to overcommit on being the strongest with Caesar after seeding, and it can force an overcommitment of the other players. So, and you can still just go for your economy and seed. Yeah. So just in general, I think it's actually what I try to say is I think it's actually nicer to not draw strength events with Caesar in some cases. Maybe in more cases than on average. I like to go for this iron now, and the Universitas is just a really good wonder, which I want to take. And with my last civil action, I take the masonry. Yeah, I mean, with this wonder, I will fix science at some point. I think masonry is super good in the sense that it prepares me to take and build a Suez Canal or any wonder, actually. I think that's the biggest use case of masonry. And I will be able to use it already, probably, with building this Universitas, so I don't lose civil actions here. I mean, it's then It pays for itself, civil action-wise. And yeah, the other option would have been frugality. Maybe it's a close call, but I do like the masonry. So that's that. I can keep 4 colonization cards. I do draw 1 green card, that's good, so I can seed, but I can't double seed again. It's actually a little sad. Cultural influence revealed. I did put that in. Code of Laws on 1. Interestingly, I didn't want to take it because I thought for that I don't have signs. My plan is to go for an H2 government, and I don't really have enough signs to go for all the cards that I have in hand. A Code of Laws and an H2 government. That's probably not gonna happen. In the sense where I want to have enough signs when H2 starts, in best case. Or at least 1 or 2 turns in to H2. So I didn't want to take Code of Laws for 2, and Nickelberg gets it for 1. That's pretty good for him. He can go for the Alchemy still. He could develop both. So yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have, like, quotation mark, hate drafted it. And it wouldn't be totally horrible for me. But I didn't do it. And that's pretty good for Nickelberg, I would say. The Cleopatra is doing a lot of work. And it looks like a very decent civilization. He does even build a warrior and get strongest in this turn. So he did a lot in this turn. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Yaba finally manages to swap a leader, goes for Eleanor, interestingly, probably not his favorite choice, but it's just what it is. And as I said also in the last video, Eleanor is pretty good with colony games. Yeah, I'm curious if he also goes for the cartography. As I also said last game, Eleanor might have the problem that she needs to be seed into possible strength events, and for that she kind of wants to be not the weakest. So let's look how he approaches this. Does he take knights? Does he take cartography? He does take the knights, but he has no option to go for it now. He can populate, and he doesn't even want to build warriors. He wants to draw cards. Yeah. Building 2 warriors to not be the weakest might have been an option, but well. There's the foray. I seeded that. A little unlucky, I would say, that it gets revealed now, but probably also I would also seed after Ripe Future's turn, and he will probably do something for the strength in his turn, so maybe it's also not unlucky. Maybe it's expected that I don't get it after I did not do anything for strength. And yeah, he goes for some warriors, takes the cartography, understands how important it might be in this game, also develops it, and takes the breakthrough. And yeah, here also again the problem with the warfare, but yeah, let's let it go. He didn't have that much better options. I mean, the drama might have been a little better, but he develops the cartography, and developing cartography and warfare, it's just too much science, I think, especially with just 2 science income. But he does take the breakthrough, that does help. Let's see how it turns out. I can seed. I open a developed territory. I think I did not seed that. I only seeded a strategic territory, and I will gladly pay. I still have the bonus from the pact, so it kicks in nicely here. And I only have to send 1 warrior and 2 colonization cards. Still keep 2 colonization cards. And might even contest the next colony nicely. I can take the engineering genius. I want to be able to contest colonies, so I build the warrior. I know that the deck is not stacked with strength events. Sadly, right now I don't know how much information I have about the other. Oh, yeah, what's in here? Maybe I know one, maybe I know two. I'm not too certain. I mean, I know that I know one, but maybe I know more. You guys know more than me right now, I guess, if you paid attention. And I mean, I cannot go to be stronger than anyone anyway, so I just go for economy. Food income might be a little important. Take the patriotism, take the engineering genius to have some flexibility in my next turns. Yeah, I do draw the vast. That's nice. That's actually also an option just to keep for Columbus. And or for Swiss Canal. So I like that draw. Finally, I might be able to seed 2 times. The other one is, it's a rebellion, right? I'm not too certain. Or was it Reign of Terror? That's maybe something I don't want to seed. The Pestilence is revealed. Yeah, I did seed that, so I knew 2. Nickelberg goes for Chichka. Pretty good leader in this situation. He is willing to pay 3 civil actions. Yeah, might be legitimate. Doesn't want to give it to Bright Future, who would only need to pay 2. The alternatives, yeah, I don't know. Would be something like Machu Picchu, but he has no irrigation, no iron. He has no certain way of getting the last iron. And there's actually no irrigation left, so maybe Machu Picchu is really not a very good option here. And there's a bunch of reserves, cultural heritage, so paying 3 civil actions for a pretty solid leader in this situation with the fighting band and with possibly an empowered fighting band coming down the row at some point. So yeah, looks pretty good. So he also is on +4 culture pretty early on. That is always very comfortable, I would say, to have to build up a culture lead without like sacrificing anything for it. It's just from things that are here. Anyway, he didn't build a printing press or a drama, didn't go out of his way to build economy or strength. It's just +4. And that's, yeah, very, very comfortable for the course of the game. Java does seed. He's fearless. He does consider historic territory. I think I didn't know that either. Bright Future builds 4. That was to be expected. He also bid 4 for the last one. And 1 warrior and 1 defense card, 1 colonization card. Java builds a warrior, another warrior. So now he's willing to do that. He wasn't willing to do that last turn. Maybe he hoped to draw a medieval army or a phalanx before doing this. And he apparently drew a legion. Interestingly, he is going for warriors with the legion. Going for the swordsman might actually be an option here. But he rather wants to go for the Code of Law. To have the 5th civil action. Yeah. By the way, actually, he still has the 3rd red cube from my pact, and yeah, I do think it's a lot more better for him than for me. But it already proved some value for me also. Yeah, I think it might be a very important consideration for me to cancel it at some point. Let's say that. Yeah. I don't know about this Code of Law. He's still on +1 science. It's very, very expensive. That being said, the code of law is very good. So something you can do, certainly. Bright Future Seeds reveals the strategic territory, is able to bid 4 again. I kind of hoped that he did not have any other colonization cards. I think there's not many left. Maybe that's all now. Or 6 of 7, if there's 7. Yeah. No, it means he didn't have one. He had to bid 2 warriors. That's actually, I think, a decent deal. So 2 warriors, pretty expensive for the 2 strength he gets, and it's H1 cards. He has seen countless H1 cards, so yeah. Let's see what he does with that. Does he change the tactic? Probably not, since there's no knights around. One consideration would be to not give Nickelberg with Chichka the empowered fighting band in the future, but maybe it's just not important to go out of the way to a tactic that does nothing. He does go for the warfare, goes to 0+2 signs. That helps him to be one of the 2 strongest right now. Interestingly, he didn't rebuild the warrior, so he has no way to compete for a colony. Then again, he knows that maybe for 1 turn he cannot compete anyway. And that's actually not true. He might still draw colonization cards, right? Well, I don't know. I think I've mentioned many times now that I'm not very fond of this warfare, and I'm still not. He went for food income, that's probably a good thing. And yeah, interestingly, he decides not to build a warrior. That's that. I populate. I am willing to build a swordsman. I do know that, again, there will be this tactic, the empowered fighting band. And I'm willing to adopt the not empowered fighting band even, because I think I don't need draws that badly. I was actually not willing to push, and this is a rebellion, by the way. I was not willing to push to seed events since, yeah, I think I wanted to keep the Vast for Columbus, who is here, and I am not certain of how good Rebellion is, and also I have not many information about the events that are in there, so there might be some troublesome events that I didn't want to seed into. And that being said, I have the vast territory in hand, and I actually considered, do I take Columbus for 3 or not? And I decided against it. Right Future still needs a leader, and I hoped he would prefer Nostradamus or something like Joan of Arc or Genghis Khan over Columbus. I think Columbus is only really good with the Vast and decently good with Inhabited. So I hoped that, yeah, he didn't go for it, and I had better things to do apparently than taking Columbus for 3. And also, if it gets taken away, I can still go for Joan of Arc. But in hindsight, I mean, I can spoil it at this point. He does take Columbus in the end, and maybe it's just too important with this Vast in hand to go for Columbus for 3. But it might be a close decision, because, yeah, in the end, I take Alchemy Drama. And I could have, I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to build those 2 swordsmen if I spent 3 civil actions on Columbus. So, tough decision. What do you think? Should I take it for 3 here? Yeah, I'm happy to see both happy face related events. I don't have a problem right now, but the problem if the age ends can always come, and then it's nice to know that the rebellion isn't in, especially the rebellion, but also the immigration. Just good to know. We see Nickelback going for iron for 3. Yeah. Not totally convinced about that. H1 is almost over. There's 3 codes. No, there's only 2 codes. Yeah, sorry. So that's something else. Iron is important, but he has a very good science income. There are some yellow cards here that he might consider. Well, it's probably a close call. So why not? Why not take iron for 3? There's not that much else he can do right now. He could take like urban growth, reserves, which is not that good. Cultural heritage, which is not that good, especially with this. So why not take iron for 3? He even develops it over taking one of those. That might even be correct. And overall, looks super good for him. Reign of Terror is revealed. I had no information about that, so I dodged that by going to 6 strength. And Bright Future, interestingly, loses that because he didn't build the warrior. And that does actually hurt it, right? He doesn't have any free population. Yeah. So will it disappear at some point? Yeah, it does. Just need some patience. The Stonehenge is being finished. See the mine being upgraded. And actually, he wants to be strongest. Makes a lot of sense with Eleanor. I still want to see the second philosophy, but it's not something he could do, actually. Because he will run into happy face problems. Oh no, he won't. He does have happy face problems. So he could do that. Yeah, but still 0+1. I don't like it. Personally, I don't like being stuck on +1 that long. But that being said, he did a lot of reasonable things, right? And in the end, he mitigated this by taking a cultural heritage. Mitigated it somewhat. Let's say it like that. Okay, Bright Future populates, loses mine to the Reign of Terror, populates again, and I'm hoping that he doesn't take it, but I already said he takes it. Columbus for 2, and interestingly, he doesn't play it, so that might mean that he's still fishing for a colony. Probably has one, but is still fishing for the vast, possibly. So yeah, doesn't play it. That loses another civil action. I mean, one of the problem of Columbus is that it possibly. So it's pretty likely that those cards are gone until his turn. Yeah, losing the civil action is one of the drawbacks of Columbus, since yeah, he's gone after you use him. So that possibly lose another civil action, but it depends whether those 6 cards are gone. But it's not that unlikely, since we all have 5 civil actions. And it means on average there needs to be 1 extra card taken, right? So this, I go for another swordsman upgrade, upgrade the mine. I do take a Richland and start building the Universitas. And take another urban growth. So I did my part in killing the leader off. Let's see. I go for the Legion. Also, yeah, sure, he keeps the tactic out of reach for 1 longer turn. I think maybe it's not that important, but it is. It's not like I could adopt it now. So not how the hero works, but It's one turn longer. Gone from the others. Nickelberg goes for medieval armies. And is on 10 strength now and takes the Forbidden City for 3. Yeah. Let's look. I was a little quick. So that means he's strongest. But there's not that many events left, right? There's a border conflict, uncertain borders that are good for the strongest. Might have considered just not being the weakest. Yeah, but without a knight, he's always the weakest, right? Yeah, I don't want to be the weakest, probably. With barbarians possibly in, and those two, and crusades, and call to arms. Yeah, raiders also. So I do understand the knight. It just meant he could upgrade iron ones less. But like this, he also spent his civil actions very, very efficiently. He took this wonder, which is pretty good, I think. And looks decent. Knowledge of the ancients is revealed. And we see Java going for the Imeji castle. That's pretty good. He already can build it if he wants to. And he does. And we see the population and still 1 science income. But building the wonder also again meant that he's not the weakest. And Bright Future does lose Sun Tzu. Everyone did their part. So we see him populate, build a warrior, elect Columbus, take alchemy, and develop alchemy. And he's stuck on +2 now. That's a really sad. And he doesn't have a lot of science to say, okay, I can just go for a republic if it drops. Yeah, it looks a little kinda, I don't know. The sum of some small decisions, and this looks kinda lost, actually. But in 4-player games, I think a lot of things can happen, and let's see. He might have exactly the territory he needs in hand, or actually simply just draw an H2 territory now. That's exactly what he needs, and all of a sudden, all his problems are fixed. For example, develop 2 would be insanely good. Even a wealthy territory I can see do a lot of work, but also the population impacts might all be good. The population colonies. I do not want to see it since I'm the weakest, and let's see if I can do something about it. Yeah, and I think I can. It's quite costly, and I'm not entirely certain if that's worth it. Definitely depends on what actually is in here. But what I do is actually go for the theocracy and build a swordsman. That even makes me strongest. And yeah, with that turn, I really hope there's because yeah, everybody went for an arms race somewhat, and I just hope there is border conflict, there is uncertain borders possibly, and that I can win those events. And it is actually the difference between winning them possibly or losing them. So overall, might be good to, might be reasonable to go for this. I can still go for Joan of Arc next turn, who gives me then 2 strength. So I can just increase my strength again. And it's not like I lose, or my economy is quite decent, I would say. I can finish this next turn, which I think is pretty important. And yeah, with that, my plan is going for the theocracy in H2 and then switch to an H3 government with some hoarded signs. We do see that there is 0 H1 governments being taken. That's also part of the decision of going for the theocracy, since the H2 governments will be contested strongly. And yeah, overall, I decided to go for the theocracy. And I think, also looking back, I'm fine with that decision. I think it's good. And I do have the 5th civil action, that's pretty important. I will have the possibility to go for a justice system, possibly. Autonomous with Suez Canal is a possibility. But also 5 civil actions is playable. And in H3 just going for an H3 government. It's a playable situation. So, that was my turn. I think it's reasonable. I am able to adapt the better fighting band now. Even it is, right? It is, yes. It's makes me even a little stronger and possibly be able to bid more for colonies. Although I don't think there's a lot of colonies, I would bid 2 swordsmen anyway here. I do see the vast. Yeah, but it's a possibility. For my last civil action, I go for the masonry, since I just want to finish this wonder for certain in the next turn. And it's just an efficiency thing. I draw emigration also. Always nice to know about those happiness impacts. And yeah, that's a déjà vu. Nickelberg somehow manages to, in 2 games in a row, enter H2 with 12 signs, and the first card that drops is Conmon in his turn. So that's crazy. That's so insane. He can just go for it. And yeah, I didn't even mention it. He had some problems with happy faces coming, and he solves them by disbanding a warrior. For now, takes Richland for 2. Doesn't take Bread and Circus, but yeah, team spots are so much better. The Richland looks decent, and this will be his solution to happy faces in the short run or mid-term. So no need to take Bread and Circus, I guess. But that being said, there's a breakthrough and Bread and Circus. Might consider it. But yeah, taking Richland for 2 is definitely also reasonable. He does need some rocks right now. That's the thing he needs most, actually. Java seeds and good harvest is revealed, not the strength event, sadly. He goes for selective breeding for 3. Yeah, definitely reasonable. And populates and takes breakthrough. Will be flexible in the next turn with the rocks he has. Can decide on different things. So I like what he's doing here. Also builds a swordsman and adopts the good tactic. Looks pretty good to me, especially with the selective breeding drop. That was a very important part of his civilization. One thing that I don't like, you can guess what I mean. I think you will know what I don't like about his civilization without me telling it. But there's something coming down the road that might fix that problem, actually. Interesting to see whether he goes for that. Bright Future knows he has to increase his science income. He did go for the wealthy territory, so yeah, maybe in this situation, it's actually a lot better than a Vast, since that's really his bottleneck, and he is able to go for another fighting band to upgrade that alchemy, and he takes an urban growth and populates. So since rocks are a bottleneck, he wants to be able to upgrade this philosophy cheaper next turn. That being said, that means he's not well prepared for a Conmon in 2 turns. If he went to +4 now, it would be 12 in 2 turns. Now it's 11 in 2 turns. But that being said, Republics, after he has those 2, it's probably the card he wants more anyway. So he's looking for Republic, and this will be 11 signs in 2 turns, at least. And yeah, I can relate to taking this urban growth. Can understand. So I am strongest. I do not seed. Why do I not seed? I don't know. Did I know something at that point? What was I afraid of? Rats? Is it rats I was afraid of? Do I just not want to seed immigration, emigration? Emigration is definitely okay. Even immigration you can consider. Why did I not seed? What was I afraid of? Dark Ages? No. Dark Ages would be super good. Yeah, if you find the reason that I was not willing to seed right now, you can leave it in the comments, because I don't. I don't think possible reds is a reason to not seed. I think it's not, but it's probably the reason. Maybe even I seeded it myself. I'm not certain. Yeah, I don't like that. This population is not even that important. Yeah, just a mistake. I think it's actually a huge mistake. I need to seed. I need to seed here. No questions asked. I need to seed. Even just the possible reds. Am I that afraid? What is wrong with you, Daneo? What happened here? No, I don't agree with this turn at all. See, I don't only not agree with turns of other people. I also do not agree with my turns a lot of the times, actually. Yeah, definitely questionable. Nickelback goes for upgrading the mine without the Richland. Now I'm a little confused as to why it was important to take it for 2 over the breakthrough. I mean, of course, it will also come in handy for the selective breedings he will probably build at some point. But if it's not immediate now, then I would have preferred the breakthrough, I guess. Takes EG, takes strategy, very good. Takes cannon, takes urban growth. Super good turn. Good cards he just got here. Super good position with this common drop. And obviously good decisions that he's doing overall. He's in a winning position right now, in my opinion. He has everything except food, and food, it's pretty likely that he will fix it quite soon with the 2 selective breedings still in the game. We see Yaba going for the Harvard College, so he heard my prayers and wants to fix his science situation. Very reasonable thing to do. Did he not seed also? He did not seed. Maybe he didn't have a green card. Maybe he didn't. It's unlikely that you don't want to seed with this woman, I guess. But yeah, he didn't seed. Takes Darwin. Elects Darwin, gets some Civil Action Spec, really nice mechanic. I love the design of this hero, of this leader. I often complain about the design of cards, which I don't like, but I also do mention the cards that I like a lot. And Eleanor is just super cool. It just feels so good these turns in H2 where you get those civil actions back, and also the whole mechanic of drawing more cards is so much fun. Yeah, I love playing Eleanor. And we take Cannon for 2 here. Actually for 3, but that's Darwin. Also a really fun mechanic. Darwin is also really nicely designed, in my opinion. He has some drawbacks. That's what I mean with nice design. He also has some drawbacks. Like Eleanor, she has the drawback that she has to seed, right? And it can backfire. And he has the drawback of the religion losing its happy face. But overall, he has a good strength and so on. And then if we look at this guy, sadly, yeah, there's the one drawback is you don't have a tactic yet, or you don't draw one if you play him. But if you have one, this guy has no drawbacks. I don't like it. That's all I say about that. So we see Bright Future desperately looking to get, yeah, does take the Republic, but he doesn't upgrade. What is happening? Is he hoping to get Robespierre? I think that's what he's hoping to. Because he could just upgrade, right? But he could not upgrade with urban growth. That's what he wanted to do, because that would not fix corruption. That's what he wanted to do. But yeah, if he upgraded that, it would be certain that he could go for Republic next turn. Now he's looking for the Robespierre Revolution, which is a really good option. And it's quite likely that Robespierre goes through. He already has a leader. I don't want Robespierre. He doesn't want Robespierre. So, yeah, it's a good plan. Very good plan. I don't know. I don't have such a good intuition for what cards stay in 4-player games as opposed to 2-player games. So I don't have a good. Let's phrase it like this. I really have to actively count a lot to understand in what cases this guy will not stay in the row. But I guess it's very likely that he stays. I offer the scientific cooperation cooperation to Bright Future. Sadly, he doesn't want to. I thought it's a good option for him. We have quite similar science income actually. But he does see that I will improve it now, probably with alchemy and also a revolutionary idea in hand and so on. But I also would give him the option to go for the Republic without Robespierre. Don't know why you would want to do that, but it's just an option. And yeah, he has similar science income to me, so I thought it might be okay. And also offering it to him, because I kind of think he has the worst position of the other of these 3. So that's always something to consider. But yeah, he didn't go for it. Understandable. I might have considered it, but that was his decision. And I actually go for the journalism. I think it's a really nice time for the journalism. I am in a spot where I don't have to be afraid of any wars or something. I have good rock income. I actually don't see it again because yeah. At this point, I remember. Did I have John Dark now? I did, right? Yes. So I actually know, or I should know, what this is, but I don't know. And I remember that it was a close call, and I did offer the scientific cooperation because I did think it does a lot of sense for Right Future to go for it. And that's actually, yeah. quite sad. I do not see it again. Did not see it again. Yeah, that's what happened. What can I do? Take the cavalryman. Maybe if I try really hard and go for the Richland still and don't go for journalism, but I don't know. There might be some turns where I actively kill Robespierre. And now it's pretty likely that would mean oh, it's actually not that unlikely that it happens, right? Let's see next turn. So he would need to take these 3 cards, so he doesn't get Robespierre. It's not that impossible. It's true. It's good cards. He can use any of them. Just has not that much hand space and has better things to do probably than to worry about Bright Future's Robespierre, when Bright Future is probably in the worst spot anyway. So we probably won't see that happen. Yeah, he does things for his civilization. That being mentioned, I do think Opera is a good card. Yeah, it would have been a possibility, I think, because all the cards are quite decent for him. But he did this, Rifleman for 2. Rifleman can be very important for player games. Access to H3. Text doesn't have Swordsman yet, also does have to look out, especially when he loses Chishka. So yeah, very agreeable turn. Looks super good, his civilization. We do see the scientific breakthrough. Yeah. That's very sad for Yaba, actually, right before he builds the college. But that being said, finally, he fixed a lot of his problems, and also his civilization looks quite decent. He won't be able to go for a government next turn, but the turn after that. And he might just look out to go for an H3 government right away also. So overall, he also does good. Culture has a good culture income, and his economy looks pretty good now. So yeah, looks good. We do see Robespierre, as mentioned. It's Urban Grove, das Bild third mine, and yeah, after this turn, also it looks pretty good. He has a lot of civil actions now. He has 5 red cubes, so now the warfare is kind of doing something if he wants to go aggressive. What he needs to fix is his rock income, but he might have the chance to do that with a Suez Canal, actually. That being said, the revolution does reduce that chance of having an H2 territory. But it can still be a possibility, and the coal will probably come soon. I think everyone else has iron, so it's not going to be contested. So yeah, actually looks kind of decent. I always say, like, he's in the west spot, he's in the west spot. It's not that, it's all not that far apart, right? And he did very good things to come back, I think, from a not so good situation, and all of a sudden it looks super playable. There is the reds, the mentioned reds. I don't actually know if I knew about them or just probably I seeded them myself. And that's why I didn't seed for that long. But now I do decide to seed. Yeah, we have to be patient now again. I do decide to seed, and yeah, looking back at this game, maybe offering the pact was too risky, maybe also the turn before, I really don't understand why I didn't want to seed there. But that being said, it's not like I don't like my position. I have good science income. My plan is to go for an H3 government, which I'm pretty nicely set up for. I have good culture income. I do have some food problems, actually, because 2 irrigations are just not enough in the long run. So I need to fix that somehow. Build another irrigation. Hope for an early mechanized agriculture. Or what's are there other possibilities? Yeah, the statue looks pretty good in my book. Or actually the Swiss canal, right? So I still have this vast in hand for that purpose, I guess. That are all options. Nickelback Seeds, there's a new deposit, and also none of these strengths were strength events. No, none of these, what did I say? None of these events were strength events. And maybe in hindsight, so far, my play with the theocracy, a little questionable, but I think I had good reasons for that. And I think I would do that again. I don't think it was wrong. What do you think? Let me know. And we see Nickelback going for the Eiffel Tower. He does have a lot of rocks. Yeah, maybe he would actually. It's okay. I don't like that wonder a lot, but maybe it's actually in a good spot. Maybe he would prefer like a railroad or even a statue, but Eiffel Tower does do some work. He's kind of in a good spot for that wonder. And it's definitely an option to put the rocks in. I guess if there was a selective breeding now, you would rather go for that, but he does go for the Eiffel Tower. He actually even just builds it probably with the architecture and can still take a breakthrough. So yeah, as I said, his civilization looks booming. It's super good. The only problem being food, and that might actually be somewhat bigger problem. As soon as he also loses this guy, he will have some strength issues, and he will not have the easiest time to build up strength. So let's see if that gets punished somehow. He does have a lot of red cubes, so aggressions are not a problem, but wars might be a problem. Yaba goes for cannons. He does maybe sense the possible weakness in the near future. And he does have a defensive army. And goes to 17 strength. And yeah, prepares some aggressive plays here. Wants to be able to upgrade, to populate next turn. Wants to be able to upgrade happy faces, and he can possibly go for a war next turn. Especially maybe with a patriotism. Does he take that? No, rather goes for cultural heritage. And obviously he wants the Conmon, yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's a little late for the Conmon, but it's probably very reasonable to take it in hand anyway. And we see Rifleman revealed, developed, I mean, then upgrade some, and all of a sudden I'm actually the weakest. And take a bunch of cards. All look reasonable. Even upgrades for another one more time. Yeah, didn't go for coal. Might have been an option, but yeah, it's not that unimportant to get stronger. Maybe you might want to be greedy one more turn. Well, it's a tough decision. So he might just go for coal next turn. And I do see what's on top. It's the immigration that I at some point decided to go for. It's actually pretty good for me. And what am I going for? The organized religion. I decide against the statue, apparently. Because I don't want to be the weakest. I do have a good tactic here with the classical army. And going for the statue would have been my entire turn. I do have a journalism. There's an opera on one. There's a Shakespeare on one. And I'm not greedy to play it at once, to go for an opera, since I do see that they are all starting to to go for some arms race. So I do realize I have to put the cavalryman first. And yeah, maybe there might be some problems where Shakespeare won't be doing anything for some turns. So let's see how that develops. Yeah, I might have considered. I also remember. I think I would have definitely preferred other leaders here, like Newton, Nobel, even Gaudi, who doesn't need any setup and already gives me 3 culture per turn. Definitely would have preferred them. But Shakespeare was just here for 1 civil action. Yeah. And even take the opera, although I have a drama. Didn't want to develop the drama now, because I didn't want to elect Shakespeare now. Yeah, difficult decisions. That's what I did. Let's see how it turns out. I do draw a colony. Going for Swiss might still be an option, actually, but it's already pretty late. And I also did seed the Vast, I guess, right? So, oh, did I? I do have some defense card, colonization cards, although those are all H1. Is there a way to tell if it's H1 cards or H2 cards? Probably there is, but I don't see that. I can see that here, I guess. Yeah, I'm not holding those. So, all H1 defense cards. We see Nickelberg going for the selective breeding, obviously. And goes for cannons. Has the Napoleonic army, so right now Chichka works. Does some work. We see Yaba also going for the strength push. Yeah. I saw some ghosts here. Will still not be able to go for common next turn, but I mean, that's just all things he had to do, right? Right Future plays Wave and also goes for some cannon. Builds an arena. Does take cold in hand. And architecture. Yeah, adopts the defensive army, and it looks to be a pretty military heavy game, since everyone is kind of really well prepared for military into H3. So here we do see the value of the warfare. It's yeah, a lot of difference if you have like 3 or 5, or even 4 or 5 if you want to be aggressive. And since he didn't go for, or didn't have the possibility to go for any culture income, it might just be his option to now go for the military route. I offer the trade agreement. I give him an extra rock. And I get an extra food. Yeah, food is a crazy bottleneck for me right now, so I thought possibly Bright Future is still in the worst spot still. And the extra food might be just what I need. But yeah, maybe it's not a good decision. It's a close call. It's actually a close call. But it makes a huge difference, the food income for me. But also it makes a huge difference, the rock income for him. So, close call. I do go for another cavalryman. I'm not that greedy to go for Shakespeare now. I think I have to be very careful not to fall behind in military, so I need to build cavalryman. I elect Shakespeare since, yeah, Jeanne d'Arc will be gone. After this turn, I go for I do reveal the classical army, and then my last civil actions, I go for a navigation. That's just some extra strength, and there's at least a vast territory, I think, that I put that in, and possibly other territories, so it's also just a good card for impacts and stuff. And since food is a huge problem, I go for the frugality. And yeah, we see the pact. I produce 3 food now, and after that 2 food, and then I will have 5 food to populate. And with the frugality and then extra 2 food, I can populate again. So now we see the clear picture why I went for this pact for the food side, because it really makes a huge difference. So yeah, probably it's just correct to offer it to someone who wants to accept it. Draw some territories, colonies. That being said, there still is the Suez. It might actually still be an option for me to go for one, but it's very late. So let's see if that's something that I consider next turn. H3 starts, and yeah, we can take a short look at the overview, and we see that it's actually a super close game. I do like my position a lot. I have science income, culture income. I have the possibility to explode in culture income. If I just build one pair now, I'm at plus 11, 10, 10. Yeah. And I do have good defensive options with my classical army. I do have food problems, but everyone else has also some kind of problems. It's very close in between Nickelberg, Java, and me. And Bright Future has the problem that he does not have any culture, so he has to go for a military push. And let's see. I mean, most likely he has to go for it, right? Maybe he can still do some things, building up a crazy economy. As I already mentioned in my other videos, 4-player games, H3 that can happen a lot in H3, so I will not I don't know the English translation. Yeah, I will not say that he has no chances, but it doesn't look too good for him. I think his best option is to go for as much military as he can and try to get one of us down, and possibly 2 of us. Let's see. Nickelback goes. He even has the mobile artillery, which is even better, and he goes for Nobel, who very reasonable, goes for 7 science now, and he takes the oil. It's a very early oil. He does have Richland in hand. He has a lot of science, so he can just go for it next turn. There is a Marie Curie in the game. That's also always an argument with such an early oil. So yeah, I do like the early oil for him. Java seeds, and the border conflict is revealed, and actually I am the weakest, and this border conflict is a problem since we see I don't have any H1 buildings, so I have to lose an alchemy probably. Yeah, it is actually very problematic, and I think it's my own fault since I was so hesitant to seed events, right? I should have not offered the pact, and I should have seeded 1 turn earlier, and I would probably not lose the border conflict. Now I lose it, and it's a big problem. I can make like the best of it and redirect that to a journalism, which I don't really want to do before electing Shakespeare and build an opera, or to a cavalryman, which might be a reasonable option, but still just losing this alchemy is not a good thing, obviously. And we have to be patient again. It's obviously a good thing for Yaba, who gains 3 rocks. And see him going for breakthrough. He could have maybe considered a revolution, but also he has the Harvard College, and he might just get an H2 government plus a rev idea and just go for that instantly. So I kind of understand why he doesn't want to go for a revolution. Takes the breakthrough. It's a warrior, interestingly. Maybe I don't see the reason for the warrior instead of the swordsman, but there probably is some reason for that. I mean, I don't think he would contest any colony with this. So that's one thing that comes to my mind. But probably he has like calculated that he needs the extra rock. And we see uncertain borders, and I really get punished for being weakest here. That all comes together. And yeah, Bright Future does kind of see that he needs to go for military, and there's the perfect leader for that. There's Churchill, and he goes for that. He builds a warrior. It does take the Suez, interestingly, pretty late. But he can go for it next turn. So he doesn't go for Crowell now. He decides to still go for the Suez, and yeah, I mean, we do see it will boost this economy quite decently. Even if it's, yeah, even although it's quite late, it might be the correct decision. Inhabited territory is revealed, and I'm able to win it with the navigation and 1 cavalryman. I think that's worth it. I take the military theory for 3, and even the air forces. Yeah, there's just no time to go for Shakespeare in a game like this right now. So I think both of these cards are super important. The air forces maybe even more than military theory, but I think military theory is also super important. So I just go for them and build 2 cavalrymen to get out of corruption. And I think actually my position is still kind of okay. I can still contest winning the game even. But yeah, maybe not winning, but going for second maybe, or not entering last, definitely. Yeah, but it's just kind of problematic. They lost those strength events, especially the border conflicts, I think more severe. Yeah, but they are both very bad. And also, probably what I would have liked to see is an H3 government right now, although it might also be a trap to go for democracy. Communism is always kind of problematic to go to from the theocracy, because it's too happy face difference, and then if there's a possible iconoclasm, I even lose 1 more happy face, and so communism is a little tricky. Democracy doesn't give red cubes, and it would be almost science, and fundamentalism is also problematic with the science income, but probably it would be the best option in a game like this. Yeah, and I think actually the best option would be the civil service. That would improve my situation very much. I talked about the justice system. I think it was taken. I think I had no, it wasn't taken. I can't remember why I didn't, but I kind of did not have the time or the option to do it very efficiently, so I didn't go for it. Might back on that. But yeah, that's my situation. I think civil service would be super good, but also those 2 cards that dropped are also very important. So let's see how it turns out. I am on 5 food again next turn. This food pact, it really does its work. And let's see how it develops. Freedom of movement. revealed. Nickelback sends from religion to Ken. Builds a religion with an growth, so yeah. Goes for the oil, upgrades the oil, yeah. And takes reserves to reserve 3 very good cards. And another growth. He's very well prepared. He has the solid culture income without investing into journalism or anything. It's just from the Eiffel Tower, basically. And a very solid position. Let's see how it turns out for him. A vast territory revealed that I ceded. I'm only willing to bid 6, probably 1 cavalryman. And Yaba wins it for 7 with actually his 2 cards were colonization cards, so nice seed for him, nice draw for him. Goes for the revolution. Is it even warrior? No, more moves worker from warrior to swordsman. He had to pay a swordsman, so it actually, I guess, was for the option to just bid a warrior instead of a swordsman, but yeah, he now finally goes for the revolution. Yeah, I guess it's still reasonable to do that. If there's no yellow cards here, he doesn't miss out on any yellow cards. Just miss out on taking a wonder, possibly fast food chains, United Nations, not that bad. There's also no air forces. He needs science to go for the air forces, possibly. So I think those are all reasons why he went for the revolution, and I think those are very solid reasons to do that. And maybe there's also reasons I don't see. So the revolution is just, I think, a good option there. Bright Future goes for the military alliance to Nickelberg, which I actually don't like to see that much. That means, I mean, at some point, Bright Future will decide to hit someone, and it makes it a lot less likely that it's going to be Nickelberg. So right now, us 3, we just play this whack-a-mole thing where you want to hide from the guy who wants to hit someone, and you really want to be in a position where it's the least likely that he's going to hit you. Churchill doing his work. Yeah, we have to check what colony he went for. It was an inhabited 2, so that's pretty good. And yeah, just proceeds with his military plan. I do go for the democracy now, and I do think that's a mistake, since I probably don't have the science for that. I used, by the way, the freedom of movement to go from to move this alchemy to journalism. It's not that expensive. And yeah, if I look at my situation, I do need some kind of win condition, I guess. I'm some culture behind, and this might already be enough to catch up, combined with impacts. Yeah, but this kind of really, especially I talked about the civil service. There is the civil service. It might be the better option here, because I will have a hard time to get the science for both of these, and I might need both of these. Especially, I mean, air forces are the priority here, I guess, but I do think I will need both of these. I do beat another cavalryman, go to a 38 strength, so It's not like I have to be that afraid, and with this move, I have the civil actions to still go for the fast food chains, which is a very solid wonder. We don't see any crazy wonders here. I mean, this is not a game where I can build a huge internet anyway. Space Flight is kind of solid. Red Cross is always random, and nations can be good, as we have seen in a game of another group where someone went Wawryczniak, built the wonder and scored 30 culture with an impact of balance, and then was still able to seed the impact of balance. So this impact of balance gave him 60 culture, and he won by not a large margin. That was some crazy game. Yeah, so nations can be good, but overall it's kind of underwhelming in my opinion. Fast food chains, always solid. I do think I'm in a nice position to be able to defend. So it's actually not that greedy, I think. So let's see how it turns out. I did need civil actions, but maybe civil service is just a better option here. Maybe this. I can still take rockets. I can still draw a better tactic, right? So, but it's, yeah, unlikely that I will have the time to go for rockets. It's more of I have nothing better to do and someone else gets no rockets. I don't know. Maybe can leave them there. Nickelback opens the vast territory, and I'm not willing to bid a lot. I didn't have any colonization cards. That's actually just a swordsman. Yeah. Bright Future wins it and is willing to send 2 riflemen, but he does have a source, so it's also income. And maybe he has another H3 tactic that he wants to transfer to anyway, so might be okay to send 2 units for that. We see Kubota and the Pro Spots. Satellites. Does develop its satellites. Upgrades another oil. Place reserves on food. Looks pretty good. Insane economy now. Insane options. Looks very good. Air Forces. And that is the second copy, I think. Yeah, there's one in the game still. Yeah, takes those, obviously. And goes for those. Goes to 50 strength. Doesn't have the most rocks, but he also gets 1 copy of the reserves. And looks very reasonable. So Bright Future goes for the tanks, actually builds a tank, builds a cannon, and does have the mechanized army. I didn't get a copy of Air Forces yet. That's, I think, very decisive, whether he gets 1 copy or not. And takes the reserves, because rocks is everything now. Patriotisms, reserves, high value cards. I offer him the international tourism. I think there's literally no reason for him to not to accept it. I think there's rarely a reason not to accept this pact. That's also why I don't like it. It's a little too strong in my opinion. It can generate a lot of culture versus the other players from one political action. Yeah, I don't like the pact. I grab reserves. As I just said, rocks is everything. Still the genius might be helpful to go for this wonder. And I populate, and now I go for the military theory. And I do that because I want to be able to defend an aggression from Yaba. Yaba has 5 cards in hand. And if I don't go for military theory here, I'm not able to defend an aggression. So I do that. But we do see that there's somewhat of a problem with this turn, and that is that I don't have 12 signs in the next turn. And if Air Forces drop for him, he can actually just go for a war with one Air Force. He doesn't have a lot of red cubes, right? But he can actually just go for a war with one Air Force. Or if military theory drops for him, he can go for a war with a tank. That's even better. So he has these two options to war me, but he can also decide to war probably one of, yeah, I will be the target with that because I don't have 12 signs. If I had 12 signs next turn, I would probably not be the target actually, depending of whether he gets Air Force or not. So overall, I guess I might have needed to, or I think I need to not go for the military theory here because Air Force are more important, and maybe I need to. It's all ugly. Build an Air Force somehow. Do I disband a journalism here or an iron? It's all ugly. I just prayed that. I mean, it's not that unlikely that he gets neither, right? It's not that unlikely that he gets neither. So if military theory drops in these two turns, or in these three actually, or yeah, it's two, then there's a high chance that he takes it away because he also doesn't want to get hit by a war. That's just a good card for him. And Air Forces might drop to him. He will take that. And I actually don't know what the chances that he gets one of those. Probably less than 50%, I guess. Probably a lot less actually, but I don't know. So I went for the military theory because I thought this is instant threat. This is certain threat. And he will always go in aggression against me, I assume, if he has one. Because with 38... Yeah, well, actually, is it always? I think I might have been to be... I might have needed to gamble that because it's just two defense cards. I already have one. I had 3 draws. I could just draw one. And then it's actually not that clear if an aggression is even that good for him. But I would probably try it against me. Not certain. Close call. I went for the military theory. And let's see how that turns out. And spoiler alert, it doesn't turn out very well for me. I do draw all the defense cards in the world, so it would have been better to just take the risk and not develop the military theory. Nickelback goes for the spaceflight, builds rifleman, and changes to the entrenchments to have an H3 tactic. He didn't drop Air Force, so he wants to have a good H3 tactic. And that being said, we see that he's not able to build another tactic next turn, right? He has 13 rocks. Depending on, yeah, there might be some events here that give him the extra rocks that he needs. He needs 15. So it's not that unlikely that there's an economic progress or arms industry. But as it is now, he cannot build another pair. So actually he's also a possible target for a war. Takes multimedia. That's that. And we see economic progress revealed. So now situation is totally different. And now it's very interesting to see if Yaba wants to take this military theory, or actually he thinks it's a good thing that Bright Future might get it. He goes for Computers Rev Idea, Bill Gates, which is kind of late for that, I think, but we evidently see that he doesn't go for the military theory, so Bright Future will have his war options. And yeah, that might just be correct, right? To leave the military theory to him. So since probably I am the most likely target for a war, it's the hybrid war. I think it's even worse than a normal war at this point. He gets the military theory and even patriotism for next turn, and is able to build another tank, even one more cannon, and goes to 61 strength. And I see code was revealed. I do have happy face problems like crazy, so I actually go for an opera here. So I mean, I cannot build another classical army. There's just too much happy face issues. I cannot build air forces, as discussed. If I had been greedy and not gone for the military theory, I actually can just build 2 air forces and win the war even, or make it very close, but that also would mean disbanding some things. And in this situation I kind of have to be greedy a little, because it's also not the end of the world, right? It's only 18 strength, so 18 culture that I lose. And if I'm somewhat greedy and I go to 16 culture income here, which is pretty good, with a possible wonder coming, I might still be in a decent position even with losing this one war. And I obviously take Gandhi here, after Shakespeare did his enormous work of giving me some science, some rocks. I sadly cannot keep him. Culture-wise, it does make no difference, and I won't be able to build another opera. And I can populate and still build a temple to get out of the happy face issues. And now I do have the option of building 2 air forces with Gandhi. And now I actually think I'm in a good spot to defend future wars, and he will have to consider very closely who he wants to war, since right now he needs to have the air forces, and then he is only able to build 1 air force and declare war, and that is with the premise that he has a second war. I mean, okay, we have to assume that, right? But yeah, I think in this situation, it's not very clear if he goes for me or Nickelberg. It also not obviously depends if there's Air Force for him or not. And if there's no Air Force for him, he has no option to war me. I will win that with 2 Air Forces. It's 26 strength. And he can only build 1 unit. With the Air Forces, he wins the war, but not by that much. So let's see if he goes for that. I think actually, yeah, even although I got targeted by this hybrid war, my chances are actually decent. And we see no Air Forces dropped, so it's very likely that Bright Future gets it. Nickelberg even wants to offer the... Yeah, he even offers him the loss of serenity. Interestingly, Bright Future refuses, so it might be... Well, okay, that would definitely be... enable Nickelberg to have a very, very greedy turn now, if he accepted it. So now we will probably see that he's not that greedy and goes for some military. Or, yeah, just 2 of those, takes a patriotism. He has a lot of rocks. Can go for cannon, for rockets. That's a lot of military action. So he is in a position to defend. The territory is revealed, and everyone's like, "Nah, I don't need that." So White Preacher gets it for one rifleman. He doesn't need the rifleman too much. But I don't know if this territory actually does anything for him, other than if he has impact of colonies, I guess. You didn't need the signs. I don't think you needed the yellow cubes, yeah. I don't know if it's worth it, other than having impact of colonies. Java goes for the computers with an efficient upgrade, elects gates, takes engineering, and yeah, the way I see it, he does have this castle, but he might also be a victim of war. The thing is, he has 13 rocks, right? That's not... Oh yeah, it is. It's 2 swordsmen, 17 rocks, 2 swordsmen, air force. That's exactly the strength he might go to. So that's not bad. Interestingly, he doesn't take cards a lot, so Bright Future will have the option to prolong the game for one more turn, and it's probably his only option, so he will probably go for it. And that also means the chances of Air Forces not dropping now are more than 50-50. 3 of 5. But it drops. And he decides to war me. Why me? Why me? That indicates that he has another war also, because he doesn't need to draw cards. He spends everything on me, and he knows he will win the war closely. And he goes for the Air Forces. Yeah, different things came together here, so that I got to be the target of the war. I think... I think if he just doesn't declare the war on me, or maybe this was always correct. Yeah, let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I guess the war on me is always correct here, actually, because the other guys, they can just... He can build a lot of strength. And he can also build a lot of strength. And has the castle, so red is not an option at all. Nickelback, yeah, kinda also not with the rockets. Can probably do 20 strength alone with rockets. And that war is always correct, no questions asked here, no debate. I mean, if he has another war, but it has to mean that he has another war. I lose a colony. What did I lose? I don't think it's so important. I developed one. And now I have to start destroying. I mean, this war basically means I have no chance of winning anymore. Since I won't be able to finish those fast food chains. And yeah, as I said, kind of lucky actually. He needed to have this Air Forces. And also, Java needed not to take the military theory at that one point, which is probably a correct call. And yeah, this means I'm playing for third place. I still might finish in front of Bright Future, right? I have decent culture income. I don't have that much of a lead, but it's a good income, and it will be close, I guess. Go to 69. I don't lose that war like crazy, and the last cards yeah. Endowment still does something. I don't know if efficient upgrades does something, but the pro spot is technology that I can still develop. Yeah, I don't think this efficient upgrade does anything, but why not just take it? Here, why not peace? I have Gandhi. What else can I do? So, Nickelback also understands that Bright Future will probably go for another war and goes for some rockets. Rifleman, another rockets, it's on 75. And still has enough rocks to finish the spaceflight. So he's in a very good spot. He has 21 rocks, but no air forces. I mean, 21 rocks means 4 cannons. 4 units here, no? Right? Or he only needs 3. So that's, yeah, just 2 rockets and 1 rifleman. It would mean that he can go to another 10, 19, 22. Yeah, to something like 90, 97 strength. But it would also mean he would disband his entire civilization because he just doesn't have any more people and not build the spaceflight. If Bright Future should decide to go to war to Nickelberg. But I think that just doesn't make any sense anymore. Java might also still be an option to be targeted, but he could also just have another tactic. So Bright Future will just go for another war against me with 1 air force. Oh no, that's the thing. He cannot build any units anymore. He could, if he targeted one of those, have gone to yeah, but play reserves yet. I don't know. I think he could probably build another cannon. 1 air force definitely, and then maybe even a cannon and a tank. Probably not. Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. I think it's always correct to go for the what against me. Wait. He built 2 movies, right? So probably it was possible. And then he's at something like, I don't know, 110 strength. But he would be at 97. He would be... Java would be at... Unclear, since there's a possibility he has another tactic. But also at least... 2, 4... No, it's already another tactic here. It's not the defensive. No, it is the defensive. Yeah, it's unclear. So I guess it's the correct call because he knows I cannot do anything. Wins another war against me. And I'm the only competitor he has. So it will be... Yeah, it's probably just the better option to go for the war against me. Technology is revealed. Not a good timing. I would get another one in this turn, but here's what it is. I just go for, yeah, not that much in my last turn. Can't do anything actually. Impact of Science. I do get 10 culture from that. It's pretty nice. Since, yeah, Nickelberg has just 1 science income. Because I also don't have a lot, right? Yeah, it's 6 actually. So... some more technologies that give him a Nobel Prize, so it would also be a huge difference if the technology came after his turn. There's Impact of Happiness. I'm nicely prepared for that. Yeah, but not that much. But Bright Future even better. I mean, I only look at this, and between those two, obviously it's very close, so it's also very interesting to see who actually wins this game. And he does have another tactic, but I think he wouldn't have been able to upgrade that much. So actually, it might have been the better option to go for war against him, but probably not. It's hard to calculate. He built 2 movies, right? And still gets the war against me. So his only target is to get ahead of me. And probably it was the best turn for that. Yaba goes for, yeah, multimedia and things. And see, agriculture revealed. So this will be super close, as we see. Yaba will still get some Bill Gates points in the end. That was good for Bright Future. We see, yeah, this is super close between us also. He can still go for another movie. So yeah. GG, well played. Really close game again. And very interesting. And I was just in the slightly worse position to defend against the wars than the other guys. And there were some small decisions that enabled that. That one missing science for the air forces, where I was afraid of an aggression. And the not seeding thing in H2, I think, was very crucial. I invested kind of a lot to be the strongest, and I didn't seed. And probably I will not lose those strength events if I just seed and not offer the scientific cooperation. And just that one turn before, I really don't know what was going on in my life at that point of time, but I didn't seed. And I think those were the reasons why those small things happened, where I was in the slightly worse position to contest the strength push. And now we have 2 very interesting races here. Impact of Progress revealed slightly better for me, but I'm I'm actually, it's equal points. And here Nickelberg is 6 culture ahead. He was very science heavy, although he just lost Impact of Science. He has a lot of technologies and is very well prepared for Impact of Progress also. We see Impact of Culture, which is super good for me. I actually think I seeded that, so I'm 5 culture ahead. I think. I'm not even sure. But I think I did. And that's also good for for Nickelback. And now it's already 11. Let's see if he can come back from that. There's Impact of Strength. That's, again, closing the gap. And that's actually obviously not good for me. It's just equal culture. It's super close. And it's also super decisive. It makes a huge difference. Also, this makes a huge difference. After the first round, I would prefer Nickelback and at last, right? So I do prefer Nickelback to win here. And yeah, getting that 1 point or not just means being first of the group after 2 games or not. So if Nickelback wins, right? So yeah, there's an Impact of Government. I gained 2 culture, and this by now looks really good for Nickelback. And the last one, variety, that won't be enough for Java to gain, close the gap, and I'm well prepared for the variety, and Bright Future is also well prepared for it, and I actually managed to get by with 2 culture here and maintain in 3rd position, which is very valuable overall. And Nickelback does win the game, which is also, I think, better for me after the first result. So yeah, as I said, it's gonna be an easy group, and I will easily destroy them in the other games, because as you see, easy games. And yeah, I already recapped. Once again, I think that there were minor things. Yeah, Shakespeare is mentionable. Yeah, he was there on one civil action, and if I didn't take him, I don't know what the situation would be if I possibly would have lost the civil action, and I only had 5 civil actions, so that was also a consideration for taking Shakespeare. And in the end, he did a little, right? I think the opera was correct, and he gave me, what's that, 3 signs, 2 rocks. It's not nothing. But just having another leader, any other leader would have obviously been better, because Shakespeare did nothing for several turns. And yeah, very small things add up, small decisions add up, and that's why I'm in the 3rd spot. And yeah, for Bright Future, I think a little unlucky, obviously, not to catch me. But that is through the ages. So, good game, well played. And yes, this group promises to be very, very close, as we see after those 2 games. Thank you for watching. Welcome, see you in the next one, and have a good time. Bye bye.